Hey guys, so if you've always wanted to get a Z palette and you haven't gotten one up to this point, this might be a good time to do so, because one of the reasons why I had never bought a Z palette is I like to look at things before I buy them. Even if it's in a sealed package, which this was, that I'm about to show you, you can still get an idea of the size and the shape and, you know, all different things about it. But if you just order something blindly online, then, you know, there's always a concern of, oh, what if I don't like it? Then, you know, it's going to make it a little awkward to send it back, and sometimes you even can't send it back. So I sort of had put off ever buying a Z palette, but I always did want to try one. So I was at Sephora yesterday, and I came around the corner, and I was in that section that has like makeup brushes and, you know, accessories and tools and things of that nature. And I came around the corner, and what did I see? Sephora by Z Palette. And I was like, yes! Because I had wanted to pick one of these up before when I had heard about it, but it was too late. They had told me that they were sold out, that it was a limited edition thing, and that they weren't going to be getting any more. Well, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they relaunched or what is happening, but if you go on the Sephora website, it does say exclusive limited edition, but all the regular Sephora stores within driving distance of my house have got these restocked now. I didn't see any Sephoras that were at JCPenney with them listed as being in stock, but just the regular Sephora stores seem to have them again. So they come in two different sizes. They have a small size, which is, let me make sure I get this straight. The small size is $18, and then the larger size is $28. This is what they call the Dome palette. And what that means is it's a little bit thicker, taller. So if you wanted to put something other than eyeshadows in there, like a blush, for example, that you had depotted, or just a blush pan that you can buy like that, you could also put those types of thicker products in here. The very first thing that I noticed about this when I started using it, and by the way, these are Makeup Geek eyeshadows, and you can buy Z palettes from her website as well. Plus, of course, you can buy them directly from Z Palette. But the magnet on this is very strong, stronger than the magnets in my MAC palettes, because up until this point, I have bought all MAC palettes because I depotted all my MAC eyeshadows, and now when I buy MAC eyeshadows, I just buy them in pan form. And that's why I got the Makeup Geek eyeshadows in pan form when I tried those out, because I thought I would just pop them in my MAC palette, but they're actually, they don't work so well in my MAC palette. They don't seem to adhere as well, but in the Z palette they adhere great, and this magnet is very strong. Another thing that you get with this is you get a package of magnets to put on any product that you depot, or any product that doesn't come magnetized in the pan. So you can just peel the little label off and then stick this on the back of your product and put it in your Z palette. Another thing that you get is this little tool, and this little tool is very, very handy to have. I've already used it for two different things regarding this, but what it's supposed to be for is to help you when you depot things. And if you use what they call the prying method, which is what I always do, you can pry the pan out of the packaging with something like this. I just used like an old steak knife when I did it, but you know, this is much safer probably and nicer to have. It's square on one end and rounded on the other, and it doesn't matter whether you buy the small Z palette or the larger Z palette. Both palettes come with a set of magnets and the tool. Now, if you buy a Z palette from Z Palette themselves or Makeup Geek, you don't get that tool, you just get the magnets. So it's really, really handy to have. I mean, when I had gotten the Makeup Geek eyeshadows originally, and I realized that they weren't going to work out so well in my MAC palette. What I did was I put them in one of those little MAC quad travel type palettes, and they seem to work out okay there, but not in my regular palette, because I don't buy the inserts for the MAC palettes, so they're just kind of floating around in there. Well, they're not floating around, but you know what I mean. They're loose. They're not in an insert, and so I had transferred them to the travel MAC quad because they do have an insert in that, and then you can just put the eyeshadows in there. But then when I went to take them out to transfer them to this, I couldn't get them out. So the Makeup Geek eyeshadows must be just a tiny bit bigger than the MAC ones. So I used this tool to pry the insert out of the palette so that I could just come through the other way to pop out the eyeshadows. And if I hadn't had this, I don't know what I would have used instead, because this is really thin and very sturdy, and if I had used my steak knife that I used to depot all my eyeshadows, it might not have been the right thickness, and or it could have snapped off and just ruined everything. So this was already really nice to have, and I haven't even used it yet for any depotting. So yeah, that's great that that comes with that. And like I said, the only way that you can get that for free is to buy this palette from Sephora. Now, Z Palette does sell a tool like that separately, but it's $12, so this was a good way to get it. Now, in terms of the Z palette versus the MAC palette, from what I can tell, the Sephora palette has a much stronger magnet in it than the MAC ones do, so I like that. However, the price is a lot steeper. So I have this palette by Sephora and Z palette, and I do enjoy it, and I enjoy the things that came with it, and I'm sure that I'll use them. But as far as being cost effective, it is definitely more economical to buy the MAC ones because they're only $8, and you can get an insert for it if you want. The inserts are only $2, so even if you are somebody that likes to put inserts in your palette, it's only $10 for the whole thing, and they hold a ton of eyeshadows. Whereas this is $28 at Sephora. It's $25 if you buy it directly from Z Palette. And I'm talking about the Dome one specifically because there are a ton of different Z palettes that you can buy at all different price points. But for this particular one, it's $28. So, you know, that's quite a bit when you consider you can get a MAC one for $8. So you could buy 3 palettes from MAC for the same price of what it would cost you for this. But I'm really glad that I do have this because of that tool thing, and yeah, so I'm glad I have this, especially where the Makeup Geek eyeshadows didn't work out for me in my regular MAC palette. But like I said, I think that's because I don't get the inserts. I think if I had inserts, it would be fine, but yeah. So I just wanted to let you know about this because I think it is still going to be a limited edition thing, so it probably won't be around that long. The smaller one, if you were more interested in just getting a small one, is $18. And to me, I don't know, that's kind of a lot for just a small palette. But, you know, you do get the tool and the magnets with it, so it might be worth it if you were the type of person that was going to change out your eyeshadows a lot for travel. Like if you're someone who travels a lot for your job, then it might be nice just to have that because you could switch out the eyeshadows and put different ones in there depending on where you were going or what the occasion was. So I like it for that. And I did want to just mention a couple other things about the Sephora aspect of this. If you buy something at Sephora right now and you're a VIB or a VIB Rouge, look at this cute bag that they give you for free. They put your whatever you bought in this bag. I just thought it was so cute. It's like a shopping bag. It's not a tote bag or anything like that. It's just a shopping bag, but it's so adorable that I'm definitely gonna have to find a use for that. And also they gave me a couple of free samples of something, and I was kind of wondering if any of you guys had ever tried this. They gave me 2 samples of the Living Proof Perfect Hair Day Nightcap Overnight Perfector. And I guess the idea is you put this in your hair before you go to bed at night and sort of work it through your hair. And then when you wake up in the morning and take your shower, you rinse it out, and it's supposed to be like a mask type thing. But I've never heard of one that you can sleep in. I mean, the idea of that is kind of baffling me, because I'm thinking to myself, isn't this going to be sticky and like get all over my pillow or something? Because on the back it does say pillow safe, but it also says fast absorbing. So it must sink into your hair and dry like almost immediately. That's the only thing I can think of. But if any of you have tried this, let me know, and you know, were you happy with the results of it? So I think it's like it says Nightcap Overnight Perfector, but I'm imagining that it's some kind of a treatment mask. So that's everything I have to tell you about the Sephora by Z palette. I guess it's a limited time only, exclusive to Sephora. I'm really glad I have this, but I wouldn't buy a bunch of them because it's, you know, kind of a high price point. But I am really impressed with the strength of that magnet in there. And I can put, you know, blushes or whatever I want in this because it is the domed style. So I'm really glad that I got this. And it was interesting to compare this to the MAC ones. Alright, that's it for today, you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.